Hey guys, welcome back to another tier list. So today I'll be doing one of my favorite directors who I didn't actually realize I hadn't done a tier list of yet, and that's Ridley Scott. So Ridley Scott has, I think, 28 films now, considering his new one, Napoleon, that came out a few months ago. I've finally gotten around to seeing that, so I can do this list now, having seen all of his films up to date. I know he has like a Gladiator sequel coming out later this year, so I'm pretty excited to see how that turns out because Gladiator is one of my favorite of his movies. But yeah, he's made so many films. He's like in his 80s. Um, he's made almost 30 films, so many great films and really good films, a few bad ones as well. But yeah, he's really one of my favorite directors just because of the sheer amount of movies he's made and how many classic kind of films he's made in those years. And so I'll try and keep it a bit shorter because he has so many movies, so I'll go through them a bit quicker than usual. Going from S to F tier, they're in no particular order or anything like that. Um, so kicking off, we have 1492 Conquest of Paradise. I saw this a few years ago. I thought it was okay. Kind of an explorer film, I guess, about I think it was when they discovered America, actually. It was interesting. It had some cool concepts and things like that. But yeah, it didn't really get my attention too much. I thought it was just kind of okay. So I'll put it in the C tier because it wasn't bad, but it wasn't really that great in my opinion either. Um, yeah. Next up, we have A Good Year. This film is a little bit underrated, I think, because I actually enjoy this movie quite a bit. It's not like a big epic blockbuster like he's known for. It's just kind of like a smaller slice of life kind of romantic comedy film with Russell Crowe. There is some awkward comedy in it, but overall, I really like the vibe that this movie has and the setting. It's just kind of laid back and relaxed, and I really enjoy that about it. It's very different from most of his other films. Again, it's not a great movie, but it is solid. I'm going to put it in the B tier. To be honest, this Conquest of Paradise could probably go in the D tier. I might change that later, but I'm going to put A Good Year in the B tier because I actually like it more than most people, I think. Like I said, it's not great, but it is good. Next, we have Alien Covenant. So, the most recent film that Ridley Scott's made in the Alien universe, being one of the prequels to the original film, as well as a sequel to Prometheus. I actually really enjoy Alien Covenant. I'm a huge fan of the Alien franchise. I think I did a video a while back on tier list with all the Alien and Predator films. And Alien Covenant is a solid movie that I really enjoy. I'm going to put it in the A tier. I think when people were complaining about Prometheus not having enough aliens, Ridley Scott kind of listened to that and threw a lot of aliens in there as well as continuing the Prometheus storyline. And I would like to see a third film that kind of ties it into the original movie, but I'm not sure if we'll actually ever get that, to be honest. But Alien Covenant's still a really good film with some great ideas that I really like. Following up with Alien, the original film, and Ridley Scott's second film that he ever made, one of the best films of all time. It's obviously an S tier. It's my personal favorite Alien movie. I even like it a little bit better than the James Cameron sequel. I just think it does everything perfect. It came out back in 1979, but it still holds up really well. Like the visuals are incredible, the performances are great, the music's great. The way that they really kind of keep the alien in the shadows and you don't see much at all, just to kind of not ruin the character, I guess, like they do in some of the other films where it gets too much. You see it too often and out in the light and everything like that. It kind of keeps it a bit more. I like what Jaws did, I guess, with the shark, like a bit more, preserved and all that in the original film. So, Alien is an excellent film and one of my favorite movies of all time. Uh, All the Money in the World. This is a recent film that he did. I thought it was good, but I didn't think it was great. It's probably a B tier movie. Um, yeah, I remember it, but not overly. I don't remember thinking it was amazing, but it was okay. It was a B tier film, I think. American Gangster is a great film. It's an obvious A tier. It's not quite S tier when we're comparing it to Alien and a few others, but it is an A tier. It's very good, great performances from Russell Crowe and Denzel Washington. A really good gangster film, and one of my favorites. Black Hawk Down for me is another B tier. I do like the movie. I recently rewatched it, hoping to like it more, but it's not one of my favorite war films. I like war films that kind of are a bit more unique and take a different approach to war, rather than just being about the combat and about people in the action. Black Hawk Down kind of feels to me like just a cliched kind of war film in a lot of aspects, but it is still really good. It has a lot of great sequences throughout it. So it's for me, it's a B tier. It's good but not great. Black Rain is a film that I wasn't a huge fan of. One of his 80s movies with Michael Douglas, so I should have really liked it. Kind of had that noir kind of vibe that Blade Runner has, but the film, I don't remember much about it. I just remember thinking it was kind of average, so I'll put it in the C tier. Um, yeah, it was okay, but nothing that memorable in my opinion. Blade Runner, of course, is an S tier film. It's a movie that actually took me a few times to get it here. Like after my first watching of it, like years ago, I probably would have put it in the B tier. But every time I've watched it since, I have now got the final cut on 4K, which is excellent. And every time I watch it, it builds up to like A tier now, obviously the S tier. I don't think it's as good as Alien, but I think it's an excellent film. Totally unique, has this real kind of yeah unique science fiction vibe that it built, kind of like what Alien did. Um, for that universe, the Blade Runner film did for its own universe. Obviously, coming up with a sequel all these years later, which is a great film also. But Harrison Ford's great here, kind of at the peak of his career with the Indiana Jones and Star Wars films around this era as well. But yeah, Blade Runner is a great kind of slow burn, art housey kind of science fiction action thriller. Next up, we have Body of Lies. I'm not really a fan of this movie. I'm going to put it in the D tier. To be honest, though, Ridley Scott working with Russell Crowe and Leonardo DiCaprio should have been a great movie. It's just not memorable. I've seen this film like 3 or 4 times now, and I can never remember anything about it. I remember one interrogation scene with Leo that was quite intense, but that's really all I remember about the film. It's just kind of forgettable. Nothing, yeah, nothing that exciting or interesting. It's just kind of a bland movie, unfortunately. Next up, we have his most recent film, Napoleon. As I said, I just watched this like a few days ago or a week ago. Joaquin Phoenix is back after working with him in Gladiator. This is a good movie. I liked it. I'm going to put it in the B tier. Um, it's like 2.5 hours, and I think there's a 4 hour cut coming out, which makes more sense because this 2.5 hour version kind of feels like a highlights reel of Napoleon's life. But that being said, I still did enjoy it. The battle scenes were great. The acting was incredible between Joaquin Phoenix and Vanessa Kirby, I think her name is, as Josephine, and they were really good together. The movie was a bit dull in points, like it would pick up, get it interesting, but then it would slow back down again. So it was good. It wasn't great. It was definitely a B tier film for me. Next, we have The Duelist. This is the first Ridley Scott film from back in 1977, and a lot of people love this movie. I might need to watch it again because I don't like the movie at all. I remember just really disliking it for some reason. I know it had good performances and good cinematography and things like that, and some interesting fight sequences with the dueling and that, but I didn't like the movie, to be honest. I'm going to put it in the D tier for now, but it may be one I have to revisit um, over the next few months or years. But yeah, just was not a fan of it for some reason. Next, we have Exodus Gods and Kings. This movie I was so excited for when it was coming out. I really wanted it to be as epic as the biblical story. However, it does divert a lot from the actual story in the Bible, unfortunately, as I've said in my review of it and things like that. Like it would have been a more epic kind of awesome movie if they had have just followed the biblical story rather than changing it up a bit and making it a bit more dull in areas and a bit more I don't know, like they just kind of yeah made it a bit average, I think. I mean the flood, like the parting of the ocean sequences was cool, but it wasn't done right, I don't think. And the plague scene was really cool. That was probably my favorite bit, how the plagues were done. The performances were good, Christian Bale and Joel Edgerton. I do like the movie, but I just think it could have been better. But it's probably a B tier film still for me because I do like it, but I really wanted it to be an S or an A tier film, which it could have been if they had have just stuck to the story properly, I think. Next, we have G.I. Jane. This is a movie I wasn't expecting to like much. However, I did like it quite a bit. I'm probably going to be another B tier film. There's a lot of B tier movies in this list. They're all good actually, so I do like everything in this B tier list, but they're not great films. So G.I. Jane was better than I was expecting it to be. Demi Moore was really good, and I have the movie on Blu-ray even, so I do enjoy it quite a bit. Gladiator. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. Obviously an S tier. I'm going to put it between Alien and Blade Runner because I like it a bit more than Blade Runner. I think Russell Crowe's great here. Joaquin Phoenix is great. It's just a real crowd pleasing kind of film. It's really epic. The musical score from Hans Zimmer is great. Yeah, it's just a super fun film. Hits all the emotions, has the action scenes, it does everything right, and it's just, yeah, it's a perfect film pretty much. Like that top list though, those top three films are my favorite three of his career. So yeah, I really love those movies, and Gladiator is one of the best. Now coming to one of the worst, unfortunately, Hannibal. Hannibal was like a sequel to Silence of the Lambs, which is a great movie, but Hannibal is not a great film, and I think it's the only horror movie that Ridley Scott's made. It has some cool moments, some it's really over the top and stupid though a lot of the time. But we get a great performance, obviously, from Anthony Hopkins once again. And for that, at least, it's not going to be in the F tier, but it's not really a good film. I don't really like it that much, but especially because I'm a huge fan of the original film, so it kind of just goes in a completely different direction, but it doesn't really work at all. Next, we have another recent one, House of Gucci. I do enjoy this film. I think it's a bit over the top and silly, but it was fun and I enjoyed it enough to probably put it in the B tier as well. Adam Driver was good. Lady Gaga was good. Everyone's accents were like all over the place, but I don't really care about that. I did enjoy the film for the most part, even though it was a bit bloated and over the top. I still enjoyed the film and thought it was okay. Decent enough to put in the B tier anyway. Yeah, I'll just keep it there. Kingdom of Heaven is a really good film. I didn't like it originally because I had seen the theatrical cut years ago and it just bored me. But obviously, this is one of those films where the director's cut makes such a huge change. I think there's like almost an hour of extra footage in it, and it just really makes the movie flesh out a lot more. It's a really good, epic kind of medieval film. Even though Orlando Bloom isn't really a great lead actor, he is good in the film, and it's overall, it's I don't know if it's an A or a B tier. Look, I'm going to put it at the top of the B tier because I did really enjoy the extended cut, which I have on Blu-ray. So for me, it's at the top of the B tier. Could be a low A even, but yeah, that's where I'll put it for now. Legend is another early film he made. Oh, this is a mid '80s movie. It's a fantasy kind of film. I think it's the only real fantasy movie he's made, but it's not really good. Has some cool visuals and things like that. It's got an interesting performance from Tom Cruise and Tim Curry as like the devil or evil or whatever it is, darkness. The movie looks cool, but unfortunately it falls pretty flat. I'll put it in the C tier though because I think its visual style alone just puts it above these kind of movies here. Matchstick Men's a great film. I really love this movie. I'm going to put this up the top of the A tier. Nicolas Cage is great. Sam Rockwell is great. I really enjoy the story. It's a con man kind of movie, but with a twist. There's a real good twist ending at the obviously at the end of the film that I didn't really see coming. And Nicolas Cage is great here. Everyone's really on point in this film. It's funny, it's emotional, it's really clever, and I really enjoy this movie. It's a lot lighter than most of Ridley Scott's films as well, but definitely an A tier movie. Next, we have Prometheus. This is another A tier film for me as well. I really loved Prometheus when it came out. I know a lot of people complain because it's not like aliens everywhere and stuff, but I really liked the mythology that it added to the alien universe, making it much more expansive. And it's a really great film, I think. I think it would make a great trilogy if they released the third film after Alien Covenant. So I'm really hoping one day they get that. But yeah, Prometheus as a movie, a standalone film, I really love it. I dug it heaps when I saw it at the cinemas. Just thought it was fantastic. Not quite S tier, but definitely a high A tier. Robin Hood's good. I rewatched it because I originally would have put it quite low, but I rewatched it a few years ago and enjoyed it enough to put it in the D tier somewhere. Oh, in the B tier, sorry. I do like it now. I actually have it on Blu-ray. I have pretty much all the B tier films on Blu-ray and everything above. But yeah, Robin Hood is quite good. I think it could have, it's more of an origin story, and it could have done more with it at the end. It kind of ends where it should start in a way, but it is good. I enjoyed it. Someone to Watch Over Me. This movie's actually better than I thought it would be. Look, I don't know. I'm going to put it at the bottom of the B tier. I like this movie for some reason. I didn't think I would, but I like the characters. I like the story. It's quite simple, but it's a mid 80s kind of thriller. Almost feels like a TV movie, to be honest. But I did like it for what it was. But it's probably just a low kind of B tier. The Counselor is easily one of Ridley Scott's worst films. I don't think any of his films are bad enough to be F tier, but this is pretty close. It's probably his worst film. It's just a big misfire. It's completely stupid. The dialogue's rubbish. The actors are, I don't know, they're good actors in the film, but they're not really giving great performances. Um, yeah, it's not a good movie. I wouldn't recommend it at all. It's kind of overly violent and gory in some random scenes for no reason, and it's just kind of a pointless film, to be honest. Um, Next, we have another recent one, and that's The Last Duel. This is one of Ridley Scott's best recent films. This is definitely an A tier movie. Um, I really love how it told the same story from three different perspectives and points of view. We don't really get too many films like that these days. Great performances all round. Matt Damon and Adam Driver were great. Jodie Comer, Ben Affleck was quite good and funny in the film as well. But it's a really, really interesting movie, and just like seeing the same situation from different perspectives, we get like kind of different ideas on things and how things are perceived by different people, and it's quite an interesting way to tell a story. And I think they should do more films like that. But yeah, definitely one of his better recent films. Thelma and Louise is a classic. This is another, I'll put it at the bottom of the A tier. I do like Thelma and Louise quite a bit. Gina Davis and Susan Sarandon. It's a really good kind of, I guess you could call it a road movie as well as a crime drama, with probably one of the most memorable endings of any film. You probably know what it is, but yeah, if you don't, it's when the car just like flies off of the cliff into the Grand Canyon and just has that freeze frame, and it's a real classic kind of ending. But the movie overall is really good and enjoyable, and quite different as well because we don't really have many female-led films by Ridley Scott, and it is a good movie. Next, we have another great film that he's made, and that's The Martian. This is another A tier film with Matt Damon about a man stranded on Mars. Really good film. I really like space sci-fi films, and this is a more realistic one. It's not like aliens and things like that. It's more of a realistic story of what it would be like if someone was actually stuck on Mars. And it's very interesting. It's actually quite light-hearted and fun as well. Definitely an A tier film. And last but not least, we have White Squall. So this film stars Jeff Bridges. I remember enjoying parts of it, but not. I mean, I really enjoyed the actual storm sequence, which is fantastic, I thought, but the rest of the film was not on that level. Um, I'll put it at the top of the C tier. I'll put it above Legend there. There was a great storm sequence in the film, but overall, the whole movie as a whole was just not very good, I don't think. But it was okay. So yeah, phew, we got through it all. So that's all Ridley Scott's 28 films, guys. So obviously the S tier, I love those movies. I love all the A tier films as well. And the B tier films I think are really solid for the most part. Wouldn't recommend anything in the C or D tier. But for the most part, he's a really good director, made 28 films, got his next one coming out this year. Hopefully it's a good one, Gladiator 2. So yeah, keep an eye out for that one when it comes out because it will be interesting. But please let me know below what you thought of these movies, what you'd rank them, and yeah, please subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.